You know, ever since 2021 came, especially November 2021, I have noticed that my interest for liminal spaces and altered realities in general has risen significantly. And, well, I guess you could say that because life is, well, getting harder and harder with each year, I find myself wanting to be in those surreal realities or liminal spaces. Essentially, they give me this feeling of nostalgia for times and places that I've never been to. And that's not a new thing. It's not like there are like 1,000 YouTube videos about this topic, but this is personal, so take it as you wish. When I think of the back rooms, I can't view them the same way I view how I used to view creepypasta. Because creepypasta was, well, it was my teenage years. And I liked how they managed to breach that line between fiction and reality, to blur it. I really liked that because it was something that I haven't seen before, at that point anyway. And yet, liminal spaces, analog horror, and just everything related to that. Yes, I mean, it can creep you out significantly, especially with things like analog horror, um, more specifically the Mandela Catalog or Local 58. Those are great analog horror channels. But leaving the horror aside, that kind of aesthetic, for some reason, resonates with me. Like, I would do a lot of things if I could just escape to this reality of essentially forgotten time. That's how I view it. I like the isolation, and that may be concerning for some people, if not most. But considering how much more difficult life is becoming, oh, it's probably not much of a surprise that I would rather spend the rest of my life wandering around in unknown liminal spaces and just dream-like places rather than just stay here in my depressing, dark, and not in a good way dark, this depressing reality which just drains you every day. And all I have are those painful memories of past times when things were not as bad as they are now. I know that nostalgia blinds people. I'm not, I don't want to lie to myself that things were so much better back then because they weren't. But there were some advantages. Of course, we all know that once you get to adulthood, things start to change quite a lot. You see things very differently. And I suppose I miss my teenage years because back then, well, I didn't have as much responsibilities as I do now, obviously. However, in my teenage years, I wasn't into, well, the backrooms were not a thing back then, but I wasn't really into vaporwave or nostalgia core or dreamcore or weirdcore or whatever else you want to call all these bizarre internet aesthetics. They didn't even came to my mind back then. But now, well, since the world is becoming more and more dystopic, I find myself wanting to just disappear from this sheer reality and just spend the rest of my life in, well, the liminal reality. And I don't know if that would make me go mad. Maybe it will. I don't know. I don't know what. Honestly, I know that it's socially acceptable that we as people are social animals. Well, I know that is a common knowledge that we are social animals and we need other people to survive. But to be honest, I'm starting to doubt that. From what I've seen so far, yes, it is nice to have someone to hang out with. I'm not denying that. And also, I might be talking from a biased point of view because most of my life I didn't really have any real friends, and now I have none. So I suppose it makes sense why now I would be in such a state that I want to be in such places. Because what else do I have left?